Hello and welcome to the next edition of the Briefings Direct Voice of Tech Services Innovation podcast series. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter Arbor Solutions, your host and moderator for this ongoing discussion on how IT services and support have entered a new era. Today's diversity of hybrid IT models and environments demands that IT services and support must be able to accommodate more digital variables than ever. Nonetheless, the burgeoning complexity and fast-changing dynamics of digital businesses are pushing enterprises to seek a complete and holistic way to support all of their technology, from every edge to every cloud, in one bold stroke. That's the market driver behind a new pan-IT services offering from Hewlett Packard Enterprise Pointnext Services called Complete Care. The all-inclusive approach moves past product-based experiences of support to an all-IT environment-wide experience. It both reaches back to provide legacy and product support and extends to the intelligence-driven and proactive optimization of all digital business services. Stay with us now as we examine how HPE Pointnext Services has developed solutions to satisfy this broad new definition of complete IT tech support. To learn more about bringing what amounts to a warm blanket of support across the entire IT environment, we're now joined by Jerry Nolan, Director of Operational Services Portfolio at HPE Pointnext Services. Welcome back, Jerry.
Hi, Dana. Great to be with you.
Jerry, how has the world changed since HPE Data Center Care arrived back in 2012? I guess we can no longer define IT by a data center metric. It's now gone much broader and wider.
You said it, Dana. I feel a bit old thinking that 2012 was just yesterday. But anyway, 2012, things have moved on considerably. I mean, back then, the theme was all around IT consolidation and the move to virtualization and, of course, customers moving across to x86 platforms. I mean, at the time, I remember studies would show that average downtime was sort of around 97 minutes per year. Average cost was around $8,000 a minute. And the most common cited reason for failure was really around the hardware, as well as actually people making mistakes. So about 50% of the downtime was caused by hardware failure and 50% by human error. And today, of course, in 2020, studies have shown that the world is really a totally different place, right? Now it's all about hyper-converged. It's about hybrid clouds, so cloud in all its various forms. The move to edge is a significant trend. And of course, the whole move to digital transformation accelerated by the COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, now it's all about the experience and bringing sort of differentiated experiences to market. If we look at areas outside of IT, I mean, if you think about buying a car and how Tesla has transformed that experience, or you're going on vacation and now, of course, you think about websites like Airbnb or Booking.com, totally transformed those experiences for those types of use cases. And IT is no different. And in 2020, some of the studies done show that downtime is now even more scary. The average cost of a minute of downtime has gone up from $8,000 to about $17,000. And of course, with the move to digital, any downtime or impact to your digital platform has massive implications with not just the direct revenue and orders impact, but that can really damage your reputation and brand for many years. So I think a study that jumped out at me from IDC last year talked about having a support experience around your IT really shouldn't be viewed like it was back in 2012 as an insurance policy, but more today, it's more important to think about partner agreements to really help drive better SLAs and overall performance and really driving the business forward and enabling the business. IDC found that enterprises that had these types of agreements in place, they saved on average 634 hours of unplanned downtime, and 200 hours of that were actually benefited to the proactive nature of using AI and other tools, as well as having access to, smart people that can help mitigate those bad things from happening. So yeah, the world really has changed a lot since we first introduced data center care back in 2012. Those are just some of the top of mind thoughts, Dana.
Sure, we've seen that change from a relationship of a vendor and support to more of a partnership in supporting the business and satisfying the needs of all the various users. But you all haven't been just sitting stagnant, resting on your laurels since 2012. There's been a progression to getting to what we now call complete care. And one of those big steps was Pointnext TechCare. How did that fit into the progression, and how should we think about this as an evolution?
Yeah, great question. And of course, as you mentioned, we are transforming the overall support experience for our customers. And the first out of the gate was the product experience, so differentiating the experience you have with our HPE products by crafting a new, totally transformed support experience aimed at the product level called TechCare, HPE Pointnext TechCare. And we just launched that back there in April on our HPE server product line, and it'll be fully available across all products by August. And it really does transform and uplift your user experience when dealing with HPE products. It brings to bear a whole range of new aspects, including a new digital platform to allow customers much easier access to both the knowledge they need, as well as giving them multiple ways of accessing our experts around the world. So they can do that through video, through chat, through moderated forums, or of course, through live conversations. It also brings in the idea of embedding artificial intelligence and telemetry built into our products, and that feeds back to Mothership and provides this wide array of dashboards and alerts and insights and recommendations back to customers. So they have this beautiful, rounded, much broader suite of capabilities that allows them to get more information, to be more easily able to self-solve and self-serve, but of course have broad access to knowledge and expertise when and where they need it. So that's really what TechCare is all about. And like I say, that launched in April. It'll be on all products by the August timeframe. And TechCare does replace Foundation Care and Proactive Care. So those listeners that are familiar with those services that have been around for a number of years, TechCare is the new single product support experience for all HPE products. And we're very proud that it's out there, and we're getting great feedback initially from customers. They love the fact that they can go to a single portal and see these dashboards. They've got many different ways of accessing our experts. And of course, everybody's different, right? So some people like to talk live to experts. Others like to maybe watch videos or go look in the moderated forum to talk to their peers in other customers. Our experts are also in those forums responding and providing linkages to various different articles. So it's a very rich and very, what we believe, a transformative type experience that really takes it to the next level. And then, of course, with Complete Care, we're going to be elevating that even more at the environment level. So taking it beyond a single product and looking at the entire environment.
And Jerry, of course, another big differentiator for Pointnext Services and its predecessors was the fact that this isn't just HP and HPE support, this is PAN support. So you've been agnostic in supporting with one throat to choke, if you will, a vast array, a universe, if you will, of tech. How does Complete Care advance that concept of all under the same umbrella?
Yeah, it's a great topic and something we've been doing actually for a lot of years. I guess historically more focused on HPE technologies and a broad range of HPE technologies. We've been adding significant multi-vendor capabilities. And then with HPE Pointnext Complete Care, it really is focused on providing that complete support experience for the customer. So including, whatever capabilities exist, both from inside of HPE or some of our partners, bringing all of that into a complete single framework for the client. And of course, it means covering the customer's complete IT environment, however they define that, and acting as their single point of contact for whatever they define as their IT. And these days, of course, that can be quite a varied scope. So from the casino that I recently talked to, who are buying up and acquiring new companies in different parts of the world, they're bringing on board those companies with their own IT setups. And the CIO is really looking for a way of bringing all that together in a single framework and having a single partner to sort of work with them and evolve, controlling what they have, as well as taking it to a more standard framework as they move forward. Another company that jumps to mind would be a large bank, international bank, looking at moving to a more hybrid structure with some on-prem cloud services. And they've still got their legacy, so they're migrating from legacy to a more cloud, x86, container-based, heavy automation. So their need, again, is a single partner that can help them through that digital transformation, through that evolution, and sort of help them operate and manage their old while they're also taking care of all of that new technology. So there's many different aspects to Complete Care in terms of helping a customer in those different use cases. And it's not just HPE, right? So it's many different IT technologies. Today, it covers things like hyperconverged, edge, IoT. There's a lot of open source we see coming in and a whole plethora of other software, including some of the new automation tools. So what Complete Care does is really try to bring all of that under one umbrella, give the customer a single team and a single point of contact. So whatever they have in their IT, wherever their IT is, they can work with a single partner to help sort of operate and optimize that whole environment.
This timing seems perfect because, as you mentioned, there's so much more complexity and so much more that goes into providing an end business service that you can reach back into multiple service providers, multiple technologies. Yet, we need these services to be robust, and if there are issues, for them to be fixed quickly. There's no time to go back and point fingers and find points of root cause and find somebody who's responsible for it. You need to look at the whole picture, and the speed element is something here that strikes me as essential.
Absolutely.
All right. What are the businesses that are looking at these new levels of protective and consultative support? With the variety that they have, it seems to me that we're looking at an awfully complex undertaking. So how do you mitigate the complexity and get more towards the single point of contact?
It's a good question. I alluded to some of the issues before. Customers are challenged, and we're still in the pandemic, and we've learned a lot from that. Customers are learning how to work through all of the various aspects, but that's elevated the whole move to digital, as I mentioned. And it's really important that customers have a strong handle on the digital aspect of their business. Whether you're ordering a coffee these days or buying a car or doing some banking, you're working with some level of digital platform, and therefore that becomes a critical aspect of enabling the business. And what we want to do is make sure we can help customers both set up and run and optimize their digital platforms. That's something Complete Care is really set up to do. Risk mitigation is critical. So helping customers, we see customers challenged with just trying to get ahead of issues before those issues cause downstream impact to their business. They want access to expertise and best practices. They're obviously always looking to get the best bang for the buck. So customers are still under a tight cost constraint. And they've also got struggles in terms of, as you mentioned, the finger pointing, managing these multiple vendors as they bring on more open source or they move more to automation tools. There's more and more companies involved and more different relationships that customers have to manage. And that can be challenging, right? If you're struggling with bandwidth and budget and trying to mitigate risk, all of these factors build and create challenges for you in all of those dimensions. So having a single point of contact is something we see customers challenged with and something they value a lot. Another new one we've seen more recently is around organizations aiming to sort of reduce their carbon footprint and sort of achieving new corporate level sustainability goals. So that's something we're also trying to build into the Complete Care value and working with our financial services organization within HPE to allow customers to benefit from some of their programs where they can monetize old hardware, and we can buy that hardware back and give the customer like a check basically that they can invest in newer technologies, more carbon friendly and more sustainable approaches can be used to take care of that old IT. So we're excited about how we can help customers across all these different dimensions, Dana.
And you and I did speak about TechCare when it came out back in the spring. And one of the things that was very impressive to me was that we recognize that the businesses, the enterprises, are taking on much more technology to satisfy their requirements for their customers. But the IT organizations have also been gaining a lot more technology. And so with an organization like HPE Pointnext Services, you're using that technology to go out and trace and discover and use the data that's being emanated from all of these systems, be it in your data center or somewhere else. And so we're able to really get much more of a view of what's going on in an organization and use that to be not just break fix or product focused, but to get out in front and to be proactive on maintenance and patching and to encounter some perhaps anomalies and then head them off before they become breakdowns or issues. So the advent of the technology that you're able to use to satisfy these problems is also very powerful, and TechCare demonstrated that. All right, let's go to Pointnext Complete Care in more detail. This has just arrived. People are trying to wrap their heads around it. What's the grand vision? Let's start at the top and sort of work our way down into some modules and other components of it. But what's the grand vision, Jerry, for Pointnext Complete Care now that we've moved through this evolution and understand the environment that we're in?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, I think you alluded to this actually in your introduction. I view the Complete Care experience as that warm blanket of support that we can put around the entire customer's IT environment. And the beauty of the framework is and we're going to be delivering on this and evolving this over the coming months, but is to provide that modular approach, to provide that flexible approach with an extensive and growing menu of capabilities, whether it's looking at your security, your compliance, the performance of all the different aspects of your IT, managing your assets, whether it be the hardware or the software licenses, and then provide the tools, the innovative solutioning tools to both our partners as well as our own staff to enable personalization for each of those different customer use cases. I gave a couple of examples earlier, but every customer is different. They're all starting out at a different point on their journey, and we want to be able to wrap around all of those requirements that the customer has, this single framework, single team, single contract, single invoice, everything is simple for the customer, but their use case has probably got all levels of complexity built in. So it's marrying those two and trying to make sure we can bring the wealth of all of HPE's capabilities, whether it's across some of the technology areas I mentioned, or in the multi-vendor space, where we have a massive capability globally to fix and repair non-HPE products. So whether it's Dell servers or IBM systems or Brocade switches or NetApp arrays, customers are often surprised that we can provide them the same level of support on their non-HPE technology as their HPE technology. So, we want to continue that vision. We want to keep investing in the digital platform, bring forward all the AI and telemetry I talked about and make it more broadly available, as well as enriching the dashboards and the alerts and the insights provided to customers that have the Complete Care framework, and just constantly make it better and help customers across the life cycle, not just support, but if they have a need to look at their strategy, we can bring in some of our strategy consultants. If they have a need for some flexibility around payment plans, or as I mentioned before, they want to monetize some of their old assets, we can partner with our financial services colleagues, bring them to the table. All of this can be done through a single Complete Care framework. So you really are getting that complete end-to-end suite of value to cover your complete set of needs. And that's what makes it quite exciting for me as a vision.
When I first learned about Complete Care, I said to myself, wow, this is pretty ambitious. And one of the things that I wondered about is how you're able to manage being all-inclusive and providing a single point of contact. But at the same time, you're also able to personalize and customize the support experience, because every company is different, and then there are large companies and small companies. So how are you able to pull that off, Jerry? Being able to be inclusive and simplified, but also much more customizable and tailored to each company.
I think that's one of the beauties of Complete Care. And I'd say also we probably have a big benefit in that we've been doing this. And I guess I'm embarrassed to say this. I've been here most of those 40 years, but we've been doing support of customers' technology, whether it's HPE or non-HPE technologies. We've been doing that for a very long time, and we've built up amazing global capabilities, whether it's supply chain or expert teams that specialize in different areas like SAP HANA or security or VMware or Linux or automation or containers, name your topic. We've built up these deep teams of experts that we can draw upon. So if you can imagine Complete Care is this big toolbox of capabilities across the company, as well as working with our partners. That really helps you when you go speak to a customer and you're viewing that customer in their own unique scenario. It's very helpful when you can turn around and talk to your sort of consulting colleagues and bring in some strategy help, or the customer has a desire to move to cloud and they need some help figuring out, how do I architect a good solution for all my various workloads? Because we know that not every workload is going to work in the cloud, right? So customers don't typically throw out their old technology. They want to keep their old technology, get the most from it for as long as possible while they move to the new. And we have teams within our organization that can really help customers regardless of where they are on that journey. So I think one of the beauties in terms of how we're able to do this is the sheer breadth and depth of the capabilities available to us. It does allow us to turn up and develop what appears like a custom-built solution for each customer. But in fact, we're leveraging capabilities that have been built up over 40 plus years, and we're putting them together uniquely for each client and having the flexibility to do that. We're not tied to any one model, whether it's on-prem, off-prem, hybrid cloud, IoT, edge, containers. We're not really tied, or we don't have any specific bias to pushing a customer in one direction. We have so many tools in our toolkit. We want to do the best for that customer and give them the outcome that really best satisfies sort of their needs. And we can do that with Complete Care. That's really the whole value prop and the beauty of the framework is we pick and choose the tools and the assets and the capabilities we have, and we map it to each individual client. And I've got many different examples we could talk about.
All right. Let's dive in a little bit. And there's a tremendous amount of information online for people who want to get more detail. But let's just chunk this out a bit. Jerry, what are the major modules in Complete Care? How should we think about it in terms of how it's constructed, architected, really?
Yeah, again, a great question. I mean, like I mentioned, we've been doing this for a while. So we've tried to carry forward into Complete Care all of those proven key elements that customers love and we know is already delivering value. So key elements like having an assigned team that works with the customer. So named individuals like a Dana and a Jerry. That's the first thing we will do with a Complete Care customer when we're onboarding them. We're enhancing that by adding some new roles into that assigned team. We're adding to that by providing new profiling capabilities, so we get to know that customer's business and their key objectives and priorities, and we can build all that into the plan and make sure anybody interacting with that customer has a full visibility to what's important to that customer, what's going on, what are some key events. Simple example might be, let's say I'm working with you, the customer, and you've got some big customer event next week. We're going to make sure our whole HPE team that's working with you is ready to support you in that big event. We're going to make sure we're going to mitigate all possible risks, and we're going to maybe have extra staff on hand to support you during that event. So it's really important to have that detailed level of profiling. So I'd say that the assigned team is a critical element. I'd say the broader scope with Complete Care is going to make a big difference, where we're actually expanding the products and the software that we can cover in the framework agreement. We're also enhancing the incident management capabilities. So when bad things do happen, because at the end of the day, hardware will at some point fail, somebody at some point will make a mistake. So we want to make sure that we mitigate that as best we can. But whenever bad things do occur, we're enhancing the whole way that we manage incidents and really make that the best possible experience that you could expect. And of course, we're expanding the menu of new capabilities, things like introducing support for open source. We see many customers challenged with deploying all the different varieties of open source that are out there. And with the move to automation and containers, that's sort of accelerating that push to use of open source. And many of our customers are saying, boy, this is hard. It's more complex. It sounded easy, fast, and cheap. It's none of those things, right? It has many benefits moving to open source, but it is quite challenging. And that's one of the things that we're going to be able to help customers with. We've got a lot of open source expertise within our company, and we're going to be ramping that up here with the launch of Complete Care, and we'll be able to offer customers a single point of contact for their open source tools. And then aligned to that, the big focus on software, we see customers, especially coming out of COVID, where companies like Microsoft and Oracle and others, they opened up access, sort of free access to their licenses. And now that we're coming out of the pandemic, those companies rightfully are looking at that and saying, well, geez, we need to monetize this and we need to go audit what software is being used out there by customers. And of course, customers in many cases are struggling to know what software is in their estate. They've got these huge estates with remote software to enable their global, remote workforce. And in many cases, that's got out of control. And we see many customers that don't know what software they have, and they don't really have a good handle on the associated costs, compliance, security risks. So another module we're launching as part of Complete Care is around software asset management, where we can help a customer go find all of their software licenses, show them all the different dashboards on what's being used, where they have some security and compliance risks potentially, what they're spending and where they're spending too much, how they could save money. And we can go all the way through not just sharing those dashboards and giving them our recommendations. If they'd like us to take on and actually do the management of their software estate, we can actually do that as well with our new software asset management capabilities. So those are some of the new exciting modules. It's a long list, Dana, but those are a couple that jump to mind in terms of some of the new exciting capabilities we're going to be introducing with Complete Care.
And again, I think it's important to emphasize that as you're a global organization and you're helping each of these companies deal with these issues, many of them new, but also trending, like supporting so much open source. You learn from that, and what you learn in one part of the world from one type of company, you can apply to everybody else. So there's really a vast amount of data that's gathered, and that can be applied and reapplied. It's a very exciting time. Let's also talk, Jerry, about your go-to-market strategy. This isn't just a, HPE only entry point. What are you doing in order to make Complete Care available across a channel partner ecosystem?
I am so glad you brought that up. I mean, HPE, like so many big companies, we rely on our trusted partners around the world. We have awesome network of partners, and we're very excited with Complete Care. We're going to be opening up that experience to our channel partners. So, many partners have the desire to create an experience like Complete Care and offer that to their end customers, but they may not have the full suite of capabilities. So combining our capabilities with their capabilities, they'll now be able to directly quote and submit proposals to their end customers, which will include Complete Care plus potentially their own value. That's going to be a new capability available here with Complete Care. We're going to provide a new solutioning platform which channel partners can access directly themselves, and they can create these proposals basically on their own and then bring in all the value of HPE, plus their own value and be compensated to do that, as well as deliver all of that new value to their end customer. So it's good for the customer, it's good for the channel partner, and of course, it's jointly good for us as well. So everybody wins.
Well, we've addressed the vast heterogeneity out there and how Complete Care will address that, but looking a little bit more closer to home within the HPE family of products, this is also giving you an opportunity to unify around your GreenLake as a service economics and procurement opportunities and models, but also to put that umbrella over some of your product lines like Nimble and Cray for HPC and Esmeralda in storage and Aruba for networking and edge. So tell me a little bit about how Complete Care not only unifies a vendor ecosystem, but it's in a sense unifying the HPE ecosystem as well.
Yeah, it's a good question again, Dan. I mean, again, one of the beautiful things about, and this is one of the reasons we chose the name Complete Care, because we are trying to deliver that complete experience and bringing together a sort of a consistent single point of support for the customer across all of our products. And I'm excited to say that, yes, we're expanding the scope of Complete Care so it includes all of the products you just mentioned. So whether you have Nimble in your environment or HPE's new container platform called Esmeralda or Cray or even Aruba on the edge side, all of that can be included alongside your servers and your storage and your non-HPE. Everything can be in a single Complete Care contract. And of course, the other nice thing about Complete Care is that GreenLake, which is our as a service offering for those customers that want to buy their IT, whether it's on-prem or in a co-location, they want their IT on a pay-as-they-go basis with a monthly bill for what they use. GreenLake is the solution there. And every GreenLake engagement at the heart of it has also got Complete Care. So Complete Care is the part that delivers the support and optimizes the performance of all of that IT. But GreenLake, we're very excited. It's called the cloud that comes to you because it delivers all of the benefits of cloud, either on your premises or in a co-location. And at the heart of it is Complete Care with that expanded scope. So we cover all the products you just mentioned. We cover all of the elements of GreenLake, and we'll be adding to that as we learn and move forward with and get more feedback from customers. But yeah, we're pretty excited.
Now, I know it's just the end of summer in 2021, and this is just new to the market, but do you have any either early adopters or beta customers that you can look to and say, yeah, we've been describing this, but here's how it's working in practice, where we can show rather than tell? Maybe you can't name the companies, but where is this being used first and what are they getting for it?
A recent example that comes to mind would be a major aircraft manufacturer struggling with a large, complex IT environment. And their IT is also, by the nature of their business, it's a very sensitive IT environment. So they need to work with trusted, proven partners. So we actually just signed a 5-year engagement with that organization, and we're going to act as their sole support provider. So providing complete coverage for their complete IT environment. And that includes over 20 different vendors. So all different types of hardware and software, way beyond just the HPE products. And it includes managing all of their software licenses. So the large software estate within their environment, it includes helping them operate all of the IT operations from planning through to support, where we will actually take on the relationships with their other vendors, and we'll provide that customer a single view and a single dashboard mapped to their KPIs. And yeah, that's an exciting engagement. And of course, every customer will be measuring this way, this idea of aligning with the customer on what their key performance indicators are. And then we'll constantly review and update those with the customer as we jointly make progress together. So this large deal is really a good proof point. It hasn't got all the elements of Complete Care that I've been talking about, but it has some of the big elements. And we see many other customers. We are in discussions with many other customers in these similar types of use case scenarios where Complete Care really provides really what they want, that single point of contact across their complete estate. And of course, we're bringing to bear that complete suite of value. So yes, that would be a good example.
All right. Almost intimidating when you say Complete Care, but I'm going to guess that you don't have to bite this all off at once. Like you just mentioned with this customer, is there a crawl, walk, run approach to Complete Care, or how do you learn more? How do you get started?
Complete Care can be small. You can absolutely start with a small Complete Care contract, perhaps for one key part of your infrastructure or your environment, and then that can grow over time. So it's absolutely a discussion we can have. It's totally flexible. So, I would encourage anybody who believes that this might be an experience that would help them to engage either through their authorized channel partner or directly with an HPE account manager representative. And there's also a wealth of information that you alluded to on the HPE.com website in the Pointnext Services area. So multiple different ways to engage. We would love to come in and just have a discussion about what's going on in the customer's environment, what are some of their challenges, some of their desired state goals, and then just figure out how we can help them and if we can help them and put together something that works for them.
All right, Jerry, we're just about out of time, but I always like to end our discussions with a little look to the future of what's coming next. It sounds to me as if when you combine GreenLake and Complete Care and the fact that we're sort of reverse engineering from the business outcomes that are desired and the timeframes that they need back through what the IT requirements and services are, that we're kind of revolutionizing IT. Even the economics of IT is shifting. So how does the advent now of Complete Care work with some of these other trends to, in a sense, reinvent IT? Are we really looking at something that substantial?
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I mean, and companies and vendors, we really need to continually step up their game, like we're trying to do here, to bring more value to customers who in turn are having to do that with their end customers. So, and this can span the entire life cycle, from us helping customers with their strategy, where maybe their strategy isn't working or they don't have a good strategy, all the way through to operating and managing their IT estate. And it's really no longer good enough to just provide support, the sort of break-fix support, but really try and provide that all IT end-to-end life cycle experience where we're bringing advice, we're bringing help, insights, recommendations, and of course, best-in-class support. And for us, it's going to include continued investment in skilling up our people and building new solutions and extending our artificial intelligence and machine learning to bring even more insights so we can stop those bad things happening. And of course, technologies like augmented reality will help elevate the experience and allow us to better support things like remote sites. I mean, we have customers that have IT on ships or on oil rigs or on top of mountaintops. So we're constantly having to innovate and come up with solutions, which is why we're making these investments. And we see these as critical as customers. Business doesn't stop, innovation doesn't stop, and we've really got to try and stay ahead of that. And that's really what we're trying to do here with Complete Care.
Yeah, it strikes me that you're, in a sense, changing the relationship with your customers and that you really are connected at the hips now. It is truly a partnership. When they succeed, you succeed, and vice versa. And you'll need to work together to make that happen. So it's an exciting opportunity. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. We've been exploring how today's diversity of hybrid IT models and environments are demanding that IT services and support accommodate more digital variables than ever. And now we've learned how HPE Pointnext Services has developed solutions to satisfy this broad new definition of complete IT tech support. It's a coverage that amounts to a warm blanket of support across the entire IT environment. So please join me in thanking our guest. We've been here learning about this complete new approach with Jerry Nolan, Director of Operational Services Portfolio there at HPE Pointnext Services. Thank you so much, Jerry.
Thank you, Dana. It's been great.
And a big thank you as well to our audience for joining this sponsored Briefings Direct Voice of Tech Services Innovation discussion. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter Arbor Solutions, your host for this ongoing series of HPE Pointnext supported discussions. Thanks again for listening. Please pass this along to your IT and business communities and do come back next time.